What's good, Ja? You already know what it is, baby. This is T Paris, aka the Young Marvin Gaye. This rap shit, most original, most creative, most in tune with the times, and I'm sort of like your inspiration. And this is P's Perspective, the recap. But let's not waste no time. Let's get right into it. Now, our first order of business, I'm gonna ask that you please hit the like button. I want to ask that you please hit the subscribe button. And the comments, man, please keep them comments coming because we greatly appreciate those. We really appreciate all the feedback that we've been getting as of late. I want to tell everybody thank you. You know what I'm saying? If you can, please share the information with some of your close friends and family and relatives. That's the way that we get the platform to grow and we get other people to be able to engage with us. Now, this week, our topic of conversation was called self-reflection. It came to us by way of email. I want to say shout out to Shantae Freeman, who brought the topic. I thought the topic was dope. We got some good feedback. We got some good insight. I want to share that sometimes, we get some feedback and insight behind the scenes. So it's not always able to be seen, and I appreciate that. But I just want to ask, let's challenge ourselves and try to put it out there so people can see. I don't want people to think that I'm bringing things to the table and I'm just pulling them from thin air. I want people to see the way that people are engaging and the way that people are commenting and critiquing, and just the insight that they're sharing about some of the dialogues that we having, man. To those who don't have social media, I just want to tell you I appreciate you because word of mouth is spreading. A couple of people that ran up on me in the streets and said, I heard you got this little platform that you're using, and I heard it's dope, you know what I'm saying? So keep going. So we want to say thank you for that, man. Toast to the town. Again, our topic of conversation this week was self-reflection. We focused on people being critiqued and how they respond to the criticism. Shantae asked specifically, do you think that when we critique people, do you think that people take time to look at the criticism and see how they could grow from it? Or do you think that people oftentimes try to rebuttal? Now, I felt like this was something that was kind of packed. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just an easy answer that we could just get to. And I really appreciate that because I think sometimes we got to be able to, dig. We got to be able to get into the meat and potato of things so we could better understand what it is that we're talking about. Now, self-reflection, as it pertains to this topic right here, we said that it's a way of, taking an introvert look at yourself, introspective look at yourself. Want to see some of our behaviors, our characteristics, what are our motives behind doing things. And we also said that sometimes when people have good relationships, that sometimes the critique, can be touchy because they care about you and they're not going to be a yes man. They're not going to sugarcoat how they feel. They're going to give it to you raw and direct. We also pointed out that you do have people who see you winning and they see you, with a positive vibe. A lot of people showing you support and a lot of people giving you good positive feedback, and people don't like that. And so they're going to try to poke at you and try to make it their business to show you that you are flawed. You know what I'm saying? We want to watch out for that. Most importantly, just want to challenge people, not to be so fragile, not to be so sensitive when people are talking to us, because sometimes it could be somebody you don't even know, but they see something beautiful inside of you and they want to help you to develop it. And sometimes I think that criticism is the way to help people get out their comfort zone. We got 4 questions. We had some good feedback and good insight. I want to get to the questions and then we're going to get to our heart-to-heart at the end. Now, our first question, it was when someone critiques you, how can we tell if it's constructive criticism or it's derogatory? Our second question, when people are self-reflecting, can they be honest and accountable during the process? Our third question, share a comment in which criticism is hurt. And the fourth question was, does it matter who is doing the critiquing? Now, our first comment came from Brittany Cross. She said, number 1, usually when someone critiques, it helps you to aid in your improvement. And when it's derogatory, they usually sort of attack you instead of critiquing you. Question number 2, when people are reflecting, can they be honest and accountable during the process? She said yes, she thinks that they can. Question 3, share a moment in which criticism hurt. It hurts the most when it's the truth and you realize that you knew this about yourself, but you failed to make the correction, and now you have to face somebody else telling yourself about it. I think that was powerful right there. Question number 4, does it matter who's doing the critiquing? Brittany said, for me, yes, especially if you haven't spent enough time around me to make critical assertions. Now, in that aspect, I want to say I agree with that. If you got a good relationship with somebody, oftentimes, the criticism comes off more powerful. But I do think that sometimes we meet people who may see something dynamic in us and they may, critique you in a way to try to help you sharpen a skill only so you could grow. So only in that aspect, I feel like it's not always about whether or not that they have spent enough time with you. Sometimes people are very sharp and very keen. They've seen these things before, and so they are able to offer that type of insight. So sort of like somebody who's mastered the skill, so to speak. We take a look at a coach, and they might say, the way that you're shooting is off. You're shooting from the side. If you put it in front, the follow-through might be a little bit easier. They might not know you. Just might have been the first time they see you play, but that's actually good criticism. I want to say thank you for your comment. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from James Field. He said, when Naja, my baby girl, criticizes me for talking too much one day and not listening because I was being jewel dropping when it wasn't necessary, yet I let my mouth rule over my ears when it simply was my ears turned the rule. I'm just saying. I appreciate that comment, OG. I think he's just saying when it comes from his daughter, he don't take it personal. Toast to the town, man. Shout out to your baby girl. Our next comment comes from Kareem K. Gordon. K. Gordon, man, shout out to you. We appreciate you chiming in. He said 100. Toast to the town, brother. The next comment come from David Hopper. He said, I've been trying to lock in on this one for 2 days. This is a goodie. We appreciate you, man. And that's why we put the videos out on YouTube, man. I understand everybody not going to be able to catch it as soon as it drop, but it's there for you to go back and catch in your leisure time, man. We appreciate that. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from Tam Williams. She said, peace, TP. Another great topic. I appreciate the dialogue and examples that you use, and we'll have to agree that overall we're fragile and don't take to criticism well. But it can be because open wounds aren't healed. I think the rebuttals happen as defense mechanisms to justify behaviors that we know we have to work on at some point. We all guilty of it. My first answer, I think we perceive constructive criticism versus derogatory depending upon who it is coming from. The second question, I think that people can be honest and accountable during the process of self-reflecting. And third, a moment in which criticism hurt is when I was told I go too hard, with regards to being aggressive. Well, I think there's such a negative connotation with being aggressive. I do think there's times when it's necessary. At the time, I was hurt so much because of the message, but because of the messenger who it was. Lastly, I think it does matter who is being critiqued, who is doing the critiquing, primarily because of who the person is and the role that they play in your lives. I want to say thank you for that comment. It was very packed. If I could just point out to where you say that, sometimes people say that you go too hard, and they think that maybe you're being aggressive. If I could just offer some advice. Sometimes when people give us critique or criticism, we don't oftentimes have to go with it. We don't always have to agree with it, Sometimes I think that people speak to you based upon, what they feel or what they appeal. Maybe what they saying for them, the aggressive nature wouldn't work. But I honestly think that you got to pay attention to the population that you're working with or that you're dealing with. Pay attention to how they respond to it, because if they don't like it, then they're going to show you. And the way that they're going to show you is by not showing you that they complying with whatever it is that you're asking for. But sometimes we do need tough love, So thank you for the comment. Toast to the town. Peace. The next comment came from Microphone Bully TV. He said, keep leading, P. I appreciate that, man. Toast to the town. Shout out to Microphone Bully. The next comment comes from Jabu Blyden. He said, you hitting on all cylinders in this video. You said everything I wanted to say. I want to stress your example about taking feedback from your daughter. I pay the bills and you should have nothing to say. Attitude is not good. Kids are with their parents every day, so they have a great idea who you are. Great job, bro. I want to tell you thank you for that comment, man. I appreciate that. It lets me know that you really paid attention and you really focused on what's being said. Now, if I could just add on the way you said, I pay the bills and you should have nothing to say. That's a parent talking to their children. If I could just add on, I think he made a very good, valid point. A lot of times we don't give our children credit. We don't think that they keen, that they observing and they paying attention to what's going on. So oftentimes you might say something like, I'm paying all the bills. But they might see that EBT card. They might notice some late night visitors is coming that's dropping change on the table. They might overhear them conversation where you talking to, Mama Love, or you talking to one of your uncles or one of your friends about borrowing, Let's stop trying to shortchange our kids' intelligence. They paying attention and they learning from us. Also, it's very, very, very important that you pay attention to the tone that you use with your kids, because when they go out into the real world, this is the energy that they're using when they communicate with other people. You oftentimes see kids, demonstrate the same behaviors that they see from their parents, man. I appreciate that comment, Jabu. Toast to the town, brother. Our next comment comes from J-Mania7. He said, constructive criticism is always a plus in my book. I think for some people, the ego get in the way, and when it happens, it stunts your growth. Sometimes the criticism comes from the Almighty himself, and people shun it when it's there for their own good. Wow, that was powerful, man. If I could just touch on what you said, sometimes the criticism comes from the Almighty itself. You know, the Most High, the universe, you know, as we see. You know, oftentimes it put things in your life, and you'll see it as deja vu, or say to yourself, like, this keep happening over and over and over again. And that's a sign, man. That's a sign from the Most High that the way that you're dealing with something might not be the proper way to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And the critique might be the pain and the hardship that come along with having to go through it over and over and over again. So let's take our time, man, and pay attention to the experiences that we have also. Because sometimes, you know what I'm saying, the critique is not it's not spoken to you. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you experience. And the way that you experience it is talking to your soul. So that's coming from within. I really appreciate that comment, brother. Toast to the town. The next comment comes from the real Mark Ski, saying being critiqued allows you the opportunity to be better. Avoid taking it personal and take it for what it can. Take it for what it could be to move on, to move forward, and to be better. I appreciate that comment came from Mark. That's my brother, my older brother. I want to tell you thank you for chiming in, man. Ever since we've been little, it been something that meant a lot to me with my brothers, my older brothers, you know what I'm saying, tap in to things that I'm doing and showing support, because that let me know that I'm on the path to something positive, man. I appreciate that, especially knowing where we came from, man. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from Caution. He said, right, I just want to point something out about Caution real quick. Oftentimes I see his Instagram. You know, he always passing positive information. And one day I pulled up on him and just let him know, as a brother to another brother, man, I really appreciate that, because I oftentimes see him trying to spread the positive energy. And so to see that you took a moment and just tapped into what we doing, man, it's like you passing that energy right back, man. I appreciate that. Toast to the town. The next comment came from Big Brother Biz. He said factual information. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't know, you know, me and Biz been friends for a long time. He's been very consistent as far as showing support. And I always point that out because oftentimes on social media, I hear people talk about support. You know, when I think about support, you know, one of the criticisms that I offer about support is that I don't personally think that we need to keep on harping on not getting support. Because oftentimes people don't even know what support look like. They want it to be a certain way. Now, this might come off as constructive criticism, but I just personally feel like support comes in so many different ways and forms and shapes that it's impossible to say that nobody's supporting you. Maybe the people that you want to support you aren't doing it. But let's start focusing on the people who are, man, because that's what really counts. Toast to the town. Now, in wrapping up this episode, you know, I just want to point out a couple key things. You know, I felt like, we felt like, you know, some people are too fragile to take criticism. And what I mean by too fragile, the moment that you say something that they don't agree with, or something that, you know what I'm saying, pokes at their spirit. And when I say poke, I don't necessarily mean like in a negative way. I mean, like, for example, if somebody be like, yo, TP, you too sensitive. And I'll be like, what? Why are you talking about Yeah, that's constructive criticism. Maybe I am sensitive sometimes, and that's something that I could work on. When I take that part of my emotion out the equation, it might allow for a better dialogue. They might be able to hear what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, instead of paying attention to the emotion that I'm displaying. Something else, people oftentimes want to rebuttal as opposed to take the constructive criticism. And what I mean by that is when you say something to somebody, they oftentimes want to come right back at you and justify it. So let me give you an example, and I'm going to keep it on myself because I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to poke at them. So, for example, you know what I'm saying, something that I find myself dealing with a lot is that when I'm talking to people and I don't agree on something, and then I come back at them, and then they come back at me, sometimes I see that the conversation go away from what we initially was talking about. And it's almost like a tit for tat, where we trying to poke at each other and try to hurt each other. And I think that sometimes that's corny. You know what I'm saying? What we indirectly saying is I recognize something about you that makes you great. And at this moment in time, I want you to see that I'm also great. And because you're not seeing what I'm saying, or you're not feeling, you know what I'm saying, what I'm feeling, then I'm going to attack you. And I think that that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I've been guilty of that, I want to use this platform to say I apologize, because that's not my intent. And oftentimes, I don't care if you don't agree with me. I just always have this thing where I feel like I want us to stick to the script, and I want us to be accountable. And sometimes when I feel like people veering left, or I feel like they're not being honest, then yeah, sometimes I could be a little bit abrasive. So I want to say I apologize for that. Now, something else I want to point out too, and it's sort of like an example, I want all of us, challenge ourselves. The next time that you on social media, you know what I'm saying, especially like Facebook, because Facebook often offers a lot of times for people to give you feedback and to comment and share, to like and all that, right? You post something that you feel passionate about. I want you to pay attention to how you respond, to the answers. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to how you respond to people with like energy. They agree with what you're saying. They feel the same way you feel. Pay attention to how you feel about people who might feel the opposite of what you feel and they don't agree with nothing you saying. Pay attention to people who give you, praise, like, I hear where you coming from, but I agree to disagree because I don't necessarily feel that way. And then pay attention with people who don't even acknowledge what you talking about, but they just go hard about trying to tell you that you wrong or trying to prove you wrong. You know what I'm saying? Those are 4 things I want you to pay attention to. And I promise you that you'll realize that all of us have some type of issue when it comes to criticism. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that it's horrible or it's bad. It just go to show that we as people, oftentimes, you know what I'm saying, compete too much. And people don't want to lose. You know what I'm saying? Life ain't really got to be a competition. I think the only person that you need to be in competition with is yourself. You know what I'm saying? And when you make yourself your only competition and you challenge yourself to be a better person every day, then you ain't going to do nothing but grow. You can't go nowhere but up. In closing, I just want to say again, sometimes we got some real controversial and touchy topics. And you know what? I want to point out one more thing, man. And I want to shout out my brother for this one. I want y'all to tell me what y'all think about this. Me and my brother was having this conversation about, going out there rallying, and spreading the word about what's going on. And Dave Chappelle, had a little video. And in this video, he was speaking about what he felt and what he was passionate about. And then there was another video called, Black Men Speaking About Touchy Topics, or controversial topics. And this guy had a very, very powerful message, but he wasn't as aggressive in the message. And so I asked, do you think that the tone plays a part in how people deliver the message? And my brother and his brother was like, nah. And his older brother was like, nah. And let me explain, when I say my brother, we didn't, come from the same mothers, but we've been so close for so long that I consider him my brother. So his biological brother, who's a little bit older, both of them felt that, nah, the tone don't really matter. And so we started going back and forth. And I noticed the conversation going into Malcolm and Martin and Little Baby and YouTube views and all that. And, why I thought that was dope, the way I ended it is saying, I apologize if I took, the conversation left, because I really thought the video was powerful. However, what I was trying to do was add on to the conversation because I felt that a lot of people wouldn't comment on the post. And if you go back and look at the post, most of the dialogue is between me and my 2 brothers. You know what I'm saying? Some people did comment. And I just want to point out that sometimes when I do that, what I'm trying to do is show you support, but at the same time, I'm trying to push the conversation, because it's just my opinion that sometimes the tone that is used in the conversation will definitely help to spread the message. Now, in closing, one thing that I said to him is, because he was like, yo, this joint got 900,000 views in 1 week. And I said, all right, but that's a small percentage compared to the rest of the world. But in using your same example and pushing my point, let's look at the other video that you posted this week with Little Baby. You know what I'm saying? That song that he made was powerful. I'm pretty sure that joint got way over 1 million views in the first week. You know what I'm saying? And his message was fiery. It was passionate. And so I feel like that message speaks to the people of this generation. Like, this is something that's been going on forever. And so to be like, I'm kind of tired of the police brutality, and I feel like, people, using the N-word and calling us niggas, like, the reason, like, yeah, we gonna hear that, but, yo, listen, man, I'm tired of this. We not going for this no more. Like, we pulling up to wherever you live at, wherever your neighborhood is, we gonna make you accountable for that's a whole different type of energy. And I feel like when you hear that, it make more people want to know what's going on. And I just say all of this to say this, man. At the end of the day, we as people of color are very passionate about anything that we get involved in. And I feel like it's our time right now, man. Sometimes the criticism and the critiquing that we doing is to help us to grow. Let's swallow our pride, man. Stop being so fragile. You And stop taking things so personal and continue to support and enrich each other with positive, uplifting, powerful words, man. And the more that we do that, man, the more we're going to be able to take over this universe and do what we set out to do right now, man. Dominate the revolution. Y'all know what it is, man. It's T Paris, a.k.a. the Young Marvin Gaye, this rap shit. Most original, most creative, most in tune with the times, and I'm sort of like your inspiration. And this is P's Perspective, man. Toast to the town, baby.